everybody. Welcome back to 5 Easy Questions, where we break down the stock market for new investors. Today, I am talking to the president and CEO of Skyharbour Resources, Jordan Trimble. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting.
I am just going to jump right on into it. My first question, what are some of the uranium projects you're currently working on, and at what stage of mining development?
Okay, so just a very high level synopsis of the company. So we are a high-grade exploration and development company with a focus in the Athabasca Basin, all uranium projects. The Athabasca Basin is the highest grade depository of uranium in the world. The average grade of a high-grade basin deposit is about 10 to 20 times that of the average grade globally. So you can think of the Athabasca Basin as really the Saudi Arabia of uranium, equivalent for oil. And it just so happens to be in our backyard in northern Saskatchewan. It's been producing uranium for many decades. It's a very good place to work geopolitically. It's always ranked in the top 5 mining jurisdictions by the Fraser Institute. And we've been active there for almost a decade, Skyharbour. We started the company in 2013. My head geologist and I, his name's Rick Kazmersky, he's a 40-plus year veteran in the Athabasca Basin, focused on uranium exploration up there. He was the exploration manager at Cameco, the world's largest publicly traded uranium mining company. And so Rick has had a lot of success in this industry, and we teamed up about 8 years ago, and we started acquiring high-grade uranium exploration projects. And it spent the first 4 or 5 years being opportunistic, being contrarian in a very difficult uranium market. We were able to acquire call it the 7 projects that you see in the portfolio currently at really pennies on the dollar. And we've now seen a pretty good move in both in the share price and in the metal price. And that's my opinion's been a long time coming, obviously, but we're finally seeing it happen. And the project base, if the audience is familiar with the basin, you'll know that it's a big sedimentary rock package that spans basically the almost the full extent of the province on the northern third of it. And we have projects scattered throughout the Athabasca Basin, both on the west side and on the east side. Most of the mining infrastructure and historical production is on the east side. And so that's where our flagship Moore Lake project is. It's the project that we're actively exploring, advancing and developing right now. That's where you see most of the news flow for the company. That's again on the east side, proximal to regional mining infrastructure. But we do have other properties scattered throughout the basin, a total land package of about 250,000 hectares. So a dominant property package. And this offers exposure to various different parts of the basin. For example, on the west side, further closer to the Albertan border, a couple of notable recent discoveries have been made. There's been lots of money made by investors in companies like NextGen and Fission, and they've done a fantastic job really opening up the western side of the Athabasca Basin. So we have properties there. We have actually 2 partner companies, joint venture partnerships now at our Preston and East Preston projects. One of those partner companies is France's largest uranium mining and nuclear fuel cycle company, Orano. They have a 51% stake in our Preston project now. And another company, Azincourt Energy, is another partner at our East Preston project, and they own 70%. And so again, a good exposure across the basin. We do also have deposits. We have pounds in the ground, and this is what makes Skyharbour unique, certainly compared to some of our peers.
I'm quickly going to interrupt you. What do deposits mean? If for someone who knows nothing about mining, what does
So we actually have drill delineated resources, uranium resources or deposits. So at one of our projects, it's called South Falcon Point, we have what's called an NI 43-101 resource estimate. And so that's basically a technical report that's done by an independent group that estimates the number of pounds or uranium, it's pounds of uranium in the ground. In the case of precious metals, you use ounces, but you're basically estimating the size and grade of the deposit. So we've got a deposit at our it's called the Fraser Lake Zone B deposit. And then we're working towards a maiden resource estimate at our flagship Moore Lake project. We have high grade uranium in drill intercepts. So we go out there, basically our main focus is to go out there and discover and then delineate these uranium deposits so that ultimately someone can come in and extract those pounds and mine those deposits. So we do have, as I said, pounds in the ground, and we also have very good and strong, robust exploration and discovery upside at the project base.
Amazing. So your whole company based around uranium, how is uranium different from oil? What does it do? Why should investors be excited about this?
Yeah, look, it's a great question for those that I'm sure everyone knows what uranium is and what it's used for. Again, it's the source of energy and fuel for nuclear power generation. Nuclear power contributes to about 11-12% of global electricity generation. Really, what's garnered interest in the sector more recently, and why you're seeing this kind of notable move higher and investor appetite for uranium companies and for the nuclear industry as a whole, is nuclear is really at the kind of the crossroads of two major macro trends that everyone's really talking about right now. One of which is electrification. We know that the demand for electricity is continuously increasing globally, especially in emerging economies and in the developing world. People need more electricity. We're expecting, by some estimates, expecting that demand to grow by 50% through 2040. So we need more electricity. The problem is, how do we get that electricity? And historically, we've burned fossil fuels to generate electricity. So oil and gas, coal, and these, as we know, are big contributors to global carbon emissions and pollution and air quality problems. So nuclear not only is a source of electricity, but it's the only source of baseload, clean, affordable, reliable electricity. Baseload's the key word there. So what baseload means, for those people that don't know what that term means, is that it can generate electricity 24/7. It doesn't rely on the wind blowing. It doesn't rely on the sun shining. It doesn't rely on lots of snow or rain. In the case of hydro, it simply just continuously pumps out electricity at an over 90% capacity factor, whereas other renewable and intermittent sources like wind and solar can range between 25 to 50% capacity factor. So it is the only source of baseload emissions-free electricity. And this is why finally, and especially with the COP26 going on right now, and this other major trend being decarbonization and clean energy, nuclear sits in the middle of both. It's going to be an integral role in the electrification of the world going forward, but it is that only source of clean baseload electricity. So as we decarbonize our economies, as we look to go carbon neutral, nuclear power is going to play a pivotal role in that. And
how dangerous is uranium mining?
How dangerous is uranium mining?
Is it dangerous? Yeah.
So, I mean, look, uranium mining it depends what kind of mining. I'll just say it's quite safe. So first off, we're an exploration company, right? So again, just to reiterate, our business is going out there and finding these deposits, delineating and expanding the resources, de-risking the projects. And then ultimately what we look to do is to sell the project or ultimately even sell the company to a larger company that's going to develop the deposit into a mine. Now, as far as safety goes, in northern Saskatchewan, in the Athabasca Basin, as I mentioned earlier, it's always ranked in the top 5 mining jurisdictions. Safety is a big thing that we focus on in the mining industry up there. If you look at in the basin, most of the deposits are mined conventionally. So your typical underground or open pit mine, most are underground. And one of the things in higher grade portions of certain deposits, like at McArthur River and Cigar Lake, they have the ability to even mine these remotely. given that it is high-grade uranium. But I will just note too, the nuclear fuel that powers these power plants, that is, you have to enrich the uranium that we mine to create that fuel. It's not like you mine uranium and then you put it into a reactor and it fuels the reactor. There is a whole process of conversion and enrichment and fabrication. Yeah. So, and that's probably a discussion for a whole other day. That would.
I was going to say, this kind of leads me into my next question. So really, in like a basic way, how long does it take for uranium to go from in the ground into an energy reactor?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a lot to unpack there. So again, starting with we'll start from step one, right, which is the actual exploration and discovery process, and that's what we're engaged in. That's what we do, and our partner companies do. You have to go out and find an economic deposit. They're quite rare. There's lots of uranium. Uranium's very abundant in the Earth's crust. It's very rare, however, to find a concentration of uranium that would be economic to mine. And so that's one of the reasons we're focused in the Athabasca Basin, because it's the highest grade depository of uranium, the highest grade deposits. These are some of the richest mineral deposits of any type, which is an interesting note. You're looking for gold, copper, diamonds on a per ton basis. These high grade uranium deposits in the basin are actually at the top of the list. So they're relatively small deposits. It's typically when people think of mining, they think these big open pit mines. Yeah. These are not that. These are very small, low tonnage deposits, which again helps from an environmental standpoint, a safety standpoint. They're not these massive open pit operations that I think the average person would think of when they think of mining. There's also some new technologies that are and mining methods that are being talked about in the basin, one of which is used extensively globally, called ISR, in situ recovery, where you actually don't even build a conventional open pit or underground mine. You actually pump a solution down that has an affinity to uranium, and you can extract the uranium directly from the sediments and then pump it up to surface and separate the uranium out. So there's lots of ways of actually extracting the uranium as well. Getting back to, sorry, I got on a tangent there. What we were
no, that's all right.
So much to
I was picturing these big craters, so this has been helpful.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. Certainly not the case for these deposits up in the Athabasca Basin. But yeah, so sorry, getting the uranium to market and to a nuclear reactor. So once you've made a discovery, you delineate a resource, you de-risk the project, you have a deposit that's economic, that someone or a company or group's going to develop and fund, you build the mine. That can take a while, right? It can be, 10 years before there's a production, before the project is a producer and an operating mine. And so once you do have production, you are mining, or extracting the uranium, you then would sell that uranium. The producers would sell that uranium to a utility company, a nuclear utility company. And what's interesting, and this is unique to this metal, so it's used as the fuel nuclear power plants, as I mentioned earlier. There's quite the process, about a 2-year process of a year and a half to 2 years, where you convert the material, you enrich it and fabricate the fuel, and then you basically deliver the fuel to the nuclear reactors, and they can generate electricity using that nuclear fuel, these pellets.
Amazing. And my fifth and final question, what would you like investors to know about your business, the sector right now, where to find you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so look, the website's a good source of information. I felt like we covered a lot of different topics here. There's a lot more research that can be carried out on our website, and just looking into the space. Our website's www.skyharbourltd.com. Just to, again, recap the company. So as I mentioned, we are an exploration and discovery story. Our value proposition is going out there and making new uranium discoveries, delineating resources, and then ultimately, like I said, selling the projects or selling the company to a developer or a producer. And one last note, we do have a dual-pronged strategy or business model. So in addition to being focused on making these new uranium discoveries, expanding our resource base at our main projects, we also carry out what's called prospect generation. And this is basically, you can think of it as a mineral property incubator, whereby we have a large land package and then we go and we package up certain properties that are secondary or non-core, or that we just simply don't have the time, money, and resources to go and advance and develop. And we then bring in partner companies to fund the exploration and the development work at these projects. And we've just announced in the last several weeks a couple of new transactions, option agreements with new partner companies. So we're up to now 5 partner companies, 2 of which are joint ventures, as I mentioned earlier, and then 3 relatively new option agreements. And so the total exploration spend from these option agreements is now upwards of just under $20 million in exploration expenditures, just over $10 million in cash payments. This is, again, assuming these companies see these option agreements through to the end. And then we also benefit by becoming very large shareholders of these companies. They typically issue us shares as well as they earn in the 70 or 80% interest in these projects. So it's a great way for us to diversify, to mitigate some of our exploration risk. It allows us to work with other teams and other groups. And really what it does, it ultimately provides us and our shareholders with multiple irons in the fire, multiple chances for new discoveries and exploration success at a variety of different projects.
Amazing. Well, that is all the time we have, but thank you so much for joining me today. And I think we've given people a ton of information and they know where to go to find more about you guys. And I hope I get to talk to you soon.
Absolutely. No, it was a pleasure. And again, anyone that wants to reach out to me or the company, all the information's on our website.